Michael Jackson, 50 years old, the king of pop, has died.
Michael Jackson has died.
My brother, the legendary king of pop, Michael Jackson, passed away on Thursday, June 25th, 2009 at 2:26 p.m.
How did it come to this? Michael Jackson's life is a remarkable journey filled with the brightest of moments and the darkest of hours. Who is Michael Jackson, really? Michael was the most recognized man in the world. Friends treasured him, world leaders invited him, colleagues admired him, children naturally gravitated to him, and the public was fascinated with him. Some cashed in on that fascination when they discovered that a story with his name got attention. It got readers and ratings. And if there was no story, unethical reporters made them up because using the name Michael Jackson got attention. Some even launched careers riding his coattails. There are two Michael Jacksons: the caricature brought to you by the tabloids cashing in, and the Michael described by those who actually knew him. What is the truth? And who is telling it? You decide.
Heal the Kids is about doing something about making a difference in trying to help adults and parents realize that it is our power to change the world that our children live in. Who among us would have believed that the sound of children at their playgrounds would be replaced by the sound of automatic machine gun fire at our schools? That the sound of little girls skipping rope would be overshadowed by the frantic shrills of children dodging bullets? Yet, instead of loving our children more, we installed metal detectors in our school.
Friends, the foundation of all human knowledge, the beginning of human consciousness, must be that each and every one of us is an object of love. Before you know it, before you know if you have red hair or brown, before you know if you are black or white, before you know of what religion you are a part of, you have to know that you are love.
Sensation gets attention. Words like bizarre and freak come right out of circus sideshows where they made fun of misfortune. Repeat something enough times and people begin to believe it. Using those tricks and others allowed the media to use Jackson for profit. And while they were focused on the color of his skin, his face, and obsessing about the paternity of his children, the real story, Michael Jackson, the humanitarian, went untold.
The paper is accused of paying off police while hacking into the phones of celebrities, members of the royal family, a murdered teenager, victims of terrorism, and war widows for years. British police now say they've uncovered nearly 4,000 hacking victims. 4,000.
And it's hard to imagine that at the lowest points of your life you could get any lower, and then hearing that somebody may well have been listening to those very intimate conversations, and you realise that things can get lower.
How we improve the ethics and morals of the press in this country and make sure they improve for the future.
How people can get up in the morning and think that's a good idea for the sake of a story is beyond me.
Ambush journalists take advantage too. The game is to gain someone's confidence with promises to expose the truth, but instead ambush with surprise questioning and clever editing. Martin Bashir filmed Jackson, then released a cut-and-paste hit piece, only to make a name for himself. He inserted innuendos about children in voiceover that led another family, using the same attorney, to repeat an old idea, accuse Michael and extort money a second time. Instead, Michael went to trial and proved his innocence. Not guilty on 14 counts. But the damage was already done. Unethical journalism is not above using subliminal messages to direct your thinking. Notice in this promo where they placed a king's crown. That's not an accident. That's planting a suggestion.
While Bashir and his crew were here at Neverland, they got to witness what has become an almost weekly experience. Busloads of children, some from the inner city, some orphaned, some terminally ill, but all of them escaping their reality to spend a day at Michael Jackson's creation.
About Michael's ranch, Mr. Bashir's on-air comment was, "One of the most disturbing things is the fact that a lot of disadvantaged children go to Neverland. It's a dangerous place for a vulnerable child to be." But what he said behind the scenes was this.
I was here yesterday and I saw it, and it's nothing short of a spiritually kind thing.
He made Michael Jackson think this was going to be a positive documentary, and Michael trusted him partly because he had worked with Princess Diana.
This comment about Michael's method of raising children was included on Bashir's special. They are restricted. They are overly protected. I was angry at the way his children were made to suffer. But this was not.
Your relationship with your children is spectacular. And in fact, it almost makes me weep when I see you with them.
Michael didn't learn till after the documentary was made that Martin Bashir had been officially reprimanded in Britain for unfair journalistic practices.
Is there things that you left out of the thing you're like, I'm happy I did?
Absolutely not. It was difficult because, I guess to some extent, because I come from Britain where we don't do sycophantic interviews. We don't really suck up to people very much. We don't do that kind of thing. When I made the documentary, there was a small part of that which contained a controversy concerning his relationship with other young people. But the truth is that he was never convicted of any crime. I never saw any wrongdoing myself. And whilst his lifestyle may have been a bit unorthodox, I don't believe it was criminal.
Some reporters played tabloid roulette while Jackson was fighting for his life and for justice in court.
Las Vegas, the place is up for grabs tonight. Odds 2-1. Jackson will be convicted in 1 to 5 counts. Cha-ching. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Nancy Grace. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Some reporters stir up people's emotions for ratings or call themselves experts, use innuendo or the line, "sources tell me," to plant suggestion and pique interest. They dehumanize before they dismember the celebrity they target. What was all that fuss about the mask, his skin color, umbrella?
We thought they were eccentricities. Could this in fact be a personal style that evolved to disguise a serious disease?
Michael had lupus, a lung disease, and vitiligo. He didn't bleach his skin. Vitiligo destroyed the pigment.
Many patients with lupus have vitiligo.
It started on his hand. The glove came into being to camouflage.
Quite a few of my patients have fibromyalgia. He may have suffered from that. Very common to be an insomniac.
One thing you say to lupus patients, don't let the sun hit your skin.
That's right.
The mask kept paparazzi stalking Michael from splashing unflattering pictures and headlines in tabloids the next morning. And the obsession about paternity. What was really behind those stories about race and having children? Was it thinly veiled racism?
Well, one glimpse at Michael Jackson will show you that he doesn't really look like an African-American man anymore. I think the Jackson family is all about this. I think that's why they'll fight for the children, because where the children go, that's where the money goes.
Who's the real baby daddy of at least the first 2 kids? These kids are not biologically related to Michael Jackson.
They're not.
And I keep reporting that, and the fans keep saying, no, they are. They're his.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
They're not.
Get a clue. Get a clue.
Because, well, the children don't necessarily, and I guess the biracial children could look different, and they can, be whiter or darker, or they can be sort of all one or all the other.
But blue eyes, not so much.
And questioning paternity or skin color only insults families who adopt or use fertility procedures to have children.
It is Michael Jackson, and he lives to be strange. He's in free fall now, and we all got to stay glued to the set till we see the splash. I think this was Michael Jackson's destiny, to die this way.
Here are some of the people Michael counted among his friends. Michael was a cheerleader for humanity. He always said he believed in us, said we are the world, and that together we could heal many of humanity's challenges. How do you heal the world according to Michael? His lyrics tell us how. You ask people to stop fighting, lay down their weapons, hear the earth's song and become her stewards, and save the children. Michael Jackson was a person who championed children, not harmed them. That's why he was exonerated by the law. He was found not guilty because he was innocent. Always has been.
I've said many times since the verdicts that the reporting hit the bottom of the barrel. Not with everybody. We had very professional journalists, people I still call journalists, but we also had bottom feeders like Court TV. Diane Diamond from Court TV had been sued by Michael Jackson in the mid-90s, very contentious litigation. Tom Sneddon, the DA, had risen to her defense, signed sworn declarations in her civil case. They stayed in touch for a long time. She really identified herself with a conviction in all of her media work. She was reporting back to Lisa Bloom, the daughter of Gloria Allred, who constantly reports Michael Jackson and tries to get involved in anything he does, even when she has no stake in the matter. And of course, Nancy Grace was the third one on that show. They want to create daily drama, daily conflict, daily excitement, and that's never going to change. Their priorities are ratings and money, and they will do whatever it takes to obtain those priorities.
Ever ask yourself why we never heard about Michael Jackson from the people who actually knew him? Why didn't the media tell us about Michael, the man?
I've never had a nicer gentleman, a more appreciative person with more well-behaved kids come to the zoo. Not what you expected. Absolutely not what I expected. You know, I've hosted a lot of celebrities here at the zoo, and quite frankly, many of them are not pleasant people to be around. Well, surrounded by bodyguards, it's just the holier-than-thou attitude. He was the absolute opposite.
When we were in Europe and we were doing the bad tour, every city we went to the children's hospital and bought them a piece of equipment. Not one hospital for the whole tour. Every city. They had a little boy that was dying and wanted to meet Michael. And Michael went up and talked to him, and the kid perked up, and it was like amazing. And I went off to the corner. I cried. I really couldn't take it. And Michael came over and put his arm around me and said, "You have to understand, Frank, this is our job. Not on the stage. This is our job. To make somebody feel good." He believed that. He absolutely believed that.
My daughter stayed with him, and he has so much fun, and he's just a fun guy.
Would you leave your children? Yes, I would. Yes, I did. I left my child with my... Yes.
So many people really don't know him, and they don't give him a chance, and they're so ready to criticize.
I was with Michael in Eastern Europe, and we got off of the plane, and he said, "You want to go to the hotel, or you want to come to the orphanage with me?" And it was like, rather than going to the hotel, he went to the orphanage. And he walked into this orphanage, and I remembered him looking, and he was walking through it. He was very calm. The promoters were there, and he was looking around, and the conditions were pretty grim. And I saw him whisper to someone, and then whisper to someone else, and he was, you know, moving through and interacting with the children. And then later I found out what he had whispered, and it was, you know, this orphanage will be turned around. There will be new beds in here. There will be clean sheets in here. There will be more people in here taking care of these children by tomorrow, or I'm not going to go on stage.
Michael is perhaps one of the best clients I've had. He's generous, he's kind, he's grateful. He thanks you for all the work you do every day.
He had a very wonderful human side to him, too. He was polite and gentle, and in a business where we didn't hear these words too often, Michael, if he would ask for something during a session, he'd say, "Please." Such a great guy.
He seemed otherworldly, but he was also a human being. I know what it's like to walk down the street and feel like the whole world is turned against you. I know what it's like to feel helpless and unable to defend yourself because the roar of the lynch mob is so loud that you are convinced your voice can never be heard. I had abandoned him, that we had abandoned him. that we had allowed this magnificent creature that once set the world on fire to somehow slip through the cracks. He was so unique, so original, so rare, and there will never be anyone like him again. He was a king.
Michael used his fame and his platform not just to improve orphanages, but to teach children and to take on social issues. Gang violence, tabloid corruption, poverty, racism, stewardship for the planet, and even war.
This is Lisa Marie and myself at a hospital in Budapest, and I saw this little kid. His name was Farkas. I asked this nurse, what's wrong with this kid? She said that he needs a liver. No matter what it takes, I'm going to find a liver for him. So I sent my organization around the world, and I said, I'm not giving up. I'm not going to have this child die. I was so happy when I got a phone call. They told me we found the liver, and he has his life.
Maybe it's time we take another look at Michael Jackson to find out what really happened. We are all so busy trying to shelter our children from the bullies of the world, wringing our hands in worry and fear. Yet we missed the biggest case of bullying the world has ever seen. Michael Jackson is the poster boy. He endured years of torture on a global stage, with the whole world watching. And the children? They loved Michael, and they were watching. They're watching now. What kind of world do we want to hand off to our children? Michael asked us to heal the world and save it for our children. He was on his way back to remind us we are the world, and he died trying.
Sadly, we live in a state of fear. Every day we hear of war on the news, on the radio, and television. In the newspapers, always of war. We hear of nations hurting each other, of neighbors hurting each other, of families hurting each other, and of children killing each other. We must learn to live and love each other before it's too late. We have to stop. We have to stop the prejudice. We have to stop the hating. We have to stop living in fear of our own neighbors. I would like all of you now to take the hand of the person to the left and to the right of you. Go ahead, right now, I mean it. Don't be shy, do it, 'cause it starts now. To the person next to you, to the left and the right, I mean it, right now. Go ahead, don't be shy, do it. Do it. Now tell the person next to you that you care for them. Tell them that you care for them. Tell them that you love them. Tell them that you love them. This is what makes the difference. Together, we can make a change in the world. Together, we can help to stop racism. Together, we can help to stop prejudice. We can help the world live without fear. It is our only hope. And without hope, we are lost.
Just wanted to say, ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine. And I just wanted to say I love him so much.
I looked at him and I said, Michael, I got to be honest with you. If more people saw this side of you, I don't think you'd have nearly the types of controversies that you face all the time. And Ari, the thing that'll stick with me as long as I live is he took my hand with both hands, shook it hard, he looked at me and said, Ron, the problem is no one will ever know what it's like to have to be me.
No one will ever know what it's like to have to be me.
And it really taught me a lesson. Don't prejudge somebody by what you always hear.